The Stoics, during their long and meaningful lives, mastered the art of understanding human psychology, including the dynamics between men and women. Stoic philosophy teaches us to live in accordance with reason, self-respect, and discipline, not to be swayed by external approval. When it comes to relationships, many men fall into the trap of being too nice, sacrificing their true selves in an attempt to win affection or approval. But this approach, more often than not, leads to being taken for granted rather than appreciated. In today's episode, we're diving deep into the 7 nice guy habits that might be holding you back. Habits you need to stop immediately if you want women to chase you rather than push you aside. Stay tuned until the end of the video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your story if you've ever found yourself stuck in this nice guy trap. Chapter 1. Stop people-pleasing, living by impossible standards. One of the most detrimental habits many nice guys fall into is the relentless drive to please others, particularly women. This tendency to people-please often stems from a deep desire for approval and validation, a belief that if you can just be agreeable, helpful, or self-sacrificing enough, people will appreciate and love you in return. While it may seem like a good strategy on the surface, constantly bending over backward to meet other people's expectations actually has the opposite effect. Instead of drawing people closer, it pushes them away because it reflects insecurity, not strength. At its core, people-pleasing is about living according to standards set by others, standards that are often unrealistic, contradictory, and impossible to meet consistently. Whether it's agreeing to plans you don't want to attend, sacrificing your own time to help with things you're not interested in, or changing your preferences and opinions to align with someone else's, all of these behaviors signal a lack of self-respect. You're essentially saying that the other person's approval is more important than your own needs and desires. Women, like anyone else, can easily sense when someone is trying too hard to please them, and it can be a major turn-off. Ironically, the more you chase approval, the less likely you are to get it. This is where Stoic philosophy can provide some much-needed wisdom. The Stoics, particularly figures like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, were firm in their belief that self-worth should come from within, not from the opinions or approval of others. They taught that external validation is fleeting and unreliable. If you base your sense of self-worth on how others perceive you, you will always be at the mercy of their changing moods and expectations. Instead, true confidence comes from living by your own principles and values. When you stop striving to be the perfect man for everyone else and focus on becoming the best version of yourself according to your standards, you naturally become more attractive. Imagine this. Instead of trying to mold yourself into the ideal partner based on what you think a woman wants, you stand firm in your beliefs, values, and preferences. You're confident in who you are and what you bring to the table without needing anyone else's approval. This kind of self-assurance is magnetic. It signals that you don't need external validation to feel good about yourself, and that's something people, especially women, find incredibly attractive. Women are more drawn to men who are secure in their identity and don't feel the need to constantly adjust their behavior to fit someone else's expectations. The problem with people-pleasing is that it sets up an unhealthy dynamic in relationships. When you always prioritize others' needs over your own, you set a precedent for being treated as a doormat. This behavior signals to others that your time, feelings, and preferences aren't as important as theirs. Over time, this can lead to resentment, as you find yourself giving and giving without receiving anything in return. Even worse, this dynamic erodes the respect others have for you, as they start to take your compliance and sacrifice for granted. Another important consideration is that people-pleasing is emotionally exhausting. Constantly worrying about what others think of you and trying to meet their expectations creates stress and anxiety. You end up living a life that isn't authentic to who you are, and that kind of inner conflict is unsustainable. Stoic teachings remind us that peace of mind comes from being true to ourselves, not from bending to the will of others. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be." D1. This advice is a powerful reminder that your goal should be to live a life that aligns with your own values and principles, not to spend your time worrying about how others perceive you. The reality is, women are not attracted to men who are constantly seeking their approval. What they find attractive is a man who knows his worth, sets boundaries, and stands firm in his beliefs. People-pleasing might seem like a way to build connections, but it actually kills attraction because it shows a lack of self-respect and individuality. Instead of focusing on what others want from you, focus on becoming the kind of man who is respected and admired for his authenticity, integrity, and confidence. To break free from the people-pleasing cycle, you need to start practicing self-awareness. Recognize the moments when you're prioritizing others' needs over your own, and ask yourself why. Are you saying yes to something because you genuinely want to, or are you doing it out of fear of disapproval? Are you changing your opinions or preferences to fit in, or are you being true to yourself? The more you become aware of these behaviors, the easier it will be to correct them. Additionally, practice setting boundaries. This is a crucial step in stopping people-pleasing behavior. Learn to say no when something doesn't align with your values or desires, and don't feel guilty about it. Remember, you have a right to prioritize your own needs and well-being, and anyone who truly respects you will understand that. By setting boundaries and standing firm in your decisions, you signal that you respect yourself, and that's something others will respect as well. In summary, people-pleasing might feel like the path to approval, but in reality, it only leads to frustration, exhaustion, and a lack of genuine respect from others. By focusing on living according to your own standards and being true to yourself, you not only cultivate inner peace and confidence, but you also become more attractive and respected by those around you. So, stop chasing external validation and start building a life that's authentic to who you are. Chapter 2. Stop being too agreeable. Kill the nice guy persona. Embrace your individuality. Another crucial habit that nice guys need to break is being overly agreeable. While being polite and respectful is important, always agreeing with everyone, especially women, can be a major detractor. Constantly nodding along and refusing to voice your own opinions may seem like the path of least resistance, but in reality, it makes you blend into the background. Women don't find men attractive who don't stand for anything. When you never disagree or offer your perspective, you become predictable, boring, and easy to overlook. Women are attracted to men who show individuality, not those who seek to appease at all costs. The problem with being overly agreeable is that it often stems from a desire to avoid conflict or disagreement, particularly in relationships. You might think that going along with what she says or likes will make her see you as easygoing and flexible, but in the long run, it makes you seem like you have no backbone. And here's the kicker: the more agreeable you are, the more you stifle your own needs, preferences, and desires. You're so focused on keeping the peace that you end up betraying your own sense of self. Stoic philosophy would argue that living this way is not living at all. The Stoics taught that we should live in accordance with nature, which means being true to who we are and standing by our beliefs, even if it leads to conflict or disagreement. A key part of becoming more attractive to women is having the confidence to express your opinions, even if they don't align with hers. You don't need to be argumentative or combative, but you do need to demonstrate that you have thoughts, beliefs, and convictions of your own. Women respect men who stand up for what they believe in because it shows that you're confident in who you are. More importantly, it shows that you won't compromise your values just to win someone else's approval. Stoic teachings remind us that we should never sacrifice our integrity for the sake of external validation. Marcus Aurelius often spoke about the importance of being self-sufficient and not allowing the opinions of others to dictate our actions. In the context of dating, this means that you need to be willing to disagree, assert your preferences, and maintain your individuality. Women are attracted to men who have their own sense of direction and purpose. When you're constantly trying to adapt to what you think she wants, you lose that edge. To break free from the habit of being too agreeable, start by practicing self-expression. The next time you find yourself automatically agreeing with someone, pause and ask yourself if that's really how you feel. If it's not, speak up. Don't be afraid to express your own thoughts, even if they don't align with hers. Remember, relationships aren't about constantly agreeing with each other. They're about mutual respect and understanding, which can only come from honest communication. The more you practice being true to yourself, the more you'll find that women are drawn to your authenticity and confidence. In conclusion, being too agreeable may seem like a way to build harmony, but it ultimately kills attraction by making you appear weak and indecisive. Embrace your individuality, voice your opinions, and don't be afraid to disagree. When you stand firm in who you are, you show women that you have a sense of self-worth and independence, qualities that are far more attractive than mindless agreement. Chapter 3: Stop saying yes to everything. One of the most common habits that nice guys struggle with is the inability to say no. Whether driven by a desire to be liked, to avoid confrontation, or to prevent disappointing others, you might find yourself agreeing to everything, regardless of whether you truly want to. This leads to overcommitting, stretching yourself thin, and eventually being taken advantage of. While women and others in your life may not consciously set out to exploit you, when they realize you're always willing and available to accommodate their needs, expectations increase. This can easily trap you in situations where you're doing things you don't want to, just because you're afraid to say no. Saying yes all the time comes from a place of insecurity. It might feel like saying no would cause others to think less of you, or that refusing someone's request risks losing their favor. But in reality, constantly agreeing to everything erodes your own self-respect and communicates that you don't value your own time or priorities. This can create a vicious cycle. The more you say yes, the more is expected of you, and the less control you have over your own life. Not only does this diminish your self-respect, but it can also lead to a loss of respect from others. When women, or anyone, see that you're always agreeable and readily available, they begin to perceive you as someone without boundaries, someone who doesn't stand up for their own needs. While you may think this will make you more likable, it often has the opposite effect. It makes you appear weak and easy to manipulate. Women are more attracted to men who know how to set boundaries and assert their own needs. From a Stoic perspective, mastering the art of saying no is crucial for maintaining integrity and self-mastery. Stoicism teaches that you should only focus on what you can control, and one of the most important things you can control is your time and energy. When you constantly say yes to others' demands, you are surrendering that control and allowing your life to be dictated by external pressures. The Stoics would argue that refusing requests that go against your values or that overextend you isn't selfish, it's an essential part of preserving your autonomy and well-being. Learning to say no when necessary is a skill that communicates self-respect. When you refuse to overextend yourself, you signal to others, especially women, that you value your own time, energy, and well-being. This makes you appear more confident and assertive, qualities that women find incredibly attractive. In contrast, if you're always saying yes, it sends a message that you're desperate for approval and willing to sacrifice your own needs to keep the peace. Over time, this not only drains your energy but also builds resentment, as you end up fulfilling commitments that you never really wanted to take on. If you want to break the habit of always saying yes, start by assessing your current commitments. The next time someone asks you for a favor or invites you to something, take a moment to reflect. Is this something you genuinely want to do? Will it serve your values or your long-term goals? If not, it's perfectly okay to say no. Practice declining requests politely but firmly. You don't need to justify or apologize for your decision, simply state that you can't accommodate the request. For instance, if a friend asks for a favor and it's inconvenient for you, a simple response like, "I'm not available to do that, but thanks for asking," is all it takes. The more you practice setting boundaries, the easier it will become. Over time, others will come to respect your limits, and more importantly, you'll earn their admiration for standing firm in your decisions. This also extends to romantic relationships. Women are drawn to men who aren't afraid to say no because it shows that you have a sense of self-respect and won't be easily swayed by others' demands. It signals that you value yourself enough to prioritize your own needs and that you are not just looking for approval. When you're too agreeable, it can make you seem desperate or too eager to please, which can be a major turn-off. Saying no also gives you the opportunity to invest your time and energy in things that truly matter to you, whether that's pursuing your own goals, building meaningful relationships, or simply maintaining a healthy work-life balance. By setting boundaries, you not only protect your own well-being, but also show others that you're someone who values their time and energy. This is incredibly attractive because it demonstrates confidence and a strong sense of self-worth. In conclusion, constantly saying yes to everything doesn't make you more likable or respected, it makes you more vulnerable to being taken for granted. To stop this cycle, start setting boundaries and prioritizing your own needs. Learn to say no when necessary, and you'll find that not only will you earn the respect and admiration of those around you, but you'll also gain a deeper sense of self-respect. Women, in particular, will be more attracted to your assertiveness and ability to stand firm in your decisions. Chapter 4. Stand up for yourself. One of the most crucial aspects of developing confidence and self-respect, especially for those who have fallen into the nice guy trap, is learning to stand up for yourself. Too often, nice guys let things slide in an effort to avoid conflict, whether it's enduring disrespectful comments, ignoring boundary violations, or tolerating behavior that they find uncomfortable. This passive approach may seem like the path of least resistance, but it ultimately erodes both your self-esteem and how others perceive you. If you constantly allow people, including women, to cross your boundaries without consequence, you're essentially signaling that you don't value yourself. Unfortunately, the longer you permit this, the more others will test your limits because you've shown that you won't defend them. The truth is that women, and people in general, respect men who are assertive enough to protect their personal boundaries. Assertiveness isn't about being aggressive or confrontational. It's about standing firm in your self-respect and communicating clearly when lines have been crossed. The Stoics believed in maintaining inner peace, which includes defending your boundaries. Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we should focus on what we can control, and that includes how we allow others to treat us. You may not control someone else's behavior, but you have the power to decide how you react. By standing up for yourself, you maintain your integrity and protect your sense of self-worth. This mindset is not about inflating your ego or acting tough, but rather about upholding your dignity and personal values. So why do the nice guys often fail to stand up for themselves? The root of this issue usually lies in fear of upsetting others, fear of conflict, or fear of rejection. Nice guys tend to prioritize keeping the peace over defending their boundaries, thinking that by avoiding confrontation, they'll be more liked or accepted. But here's the paradox: the more you avoid conflict and allow others to disrespect you, the less they will respect you. Women are attracted to men who are confident enough to assert themselves because it shows strength of character, not just in romantic situations, but in life as a whole. It's also important to recognize that standing up for yourself doesn't mean becoming aggressive or defensive. There's a huge difference between healthy assertiveness and unnecessary aggression. Assertiveness is calm, clear, and rooted in respect for yourself and others. If someone insults you or behaves in a way that makes you uncomfortable, it's essential to address the issue with composure. This can be as simple as saying, "I don't appreciate that comment," or "that behavior isn't acceptable to me." By making it clear that you won't tolerate disrespect, you set a firm boundary and establish the standards by which others will treat you. Women find assertiveness attractive because it signals that you are confident, self-assured, and capable of handling difficult situations with grace. Whether in a romantic relationship or everyday interactions, a man who can stand his ground is perceived as someone who knows his worth and isn't afraid to protect it. This level of self-assurance also speaks to your ability to lead, which is a highly attractive quality. Women don't want to be with a man who shrinks in the face of conflict or avoids standing up for what's right. They want someone who can navigate challenges with maturity and strength. Furthermore, defending your boundaries in a relationship is crucial for maintaining balance and mutual respect. If you allow your partner to continuously overstep your boundaries, it will create an unhealthy dynamic where one person holds all the power. This isn't just about being the man in a relationship, but about ensuring that both partners are treated with equal respect and consideration. When you don't stand up for yourself, you risk becoming resentful, frustrated, and feeling powerless, which can cause long-term damage to your self-esteem and the relationship. Another important point to remember is that standing up for yourself isn't about nitpicking or being overly sensitive. There's a difference between minor annoyances that can be let go and significant boundary violations that need to be addressed. You don't need to confront every small issue, but when something truly bothers you, or when someone's behavior disrespects your personal values, it's essential to speak up. This level of discernment comes with practice and self-awareness. The Stoics believed in balancing emotional resilience with assertiveness. For example, Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of self-control, but also stressed that one must take action when necessary. Defending your boundaries is a key part of that action. When you stand up for yourself, you're not only safeguarding your sense of self-worth, but also demonstrating emotional strength. Moreover, standing up for yourself teaches others how to treat you. When you calmly assert your boundaries, people learn that you expect respect and won't tolerate mistreatment. This doesn't just apply to romantic relationships, but also to friendships, family, and professional settings. The more you practice this, the more natural it will become, and over time, you'll develop a strong reputation as someone who commands respect without being combative or arrogant. So how can you start implementing this? Begin by recognizing your boundaries. What behaviors or comments cross the line for you? Next, practice addressing these boundary violations in real time. You don't need to make a big scene, but you do need to make it clear that certain actions or words are unacceptable. This could be as simple as saying, "I'd appreciate it if you didn't say that," or "That's not okay with me." At first, it may feel uncomfortable to stand up for yourself, especially if you're used to avoiding conflict. But over time, you'll find that it gets easier and that the respect you gain from others will boost your confidence. Women are attracted to men who don't let others walk all over them because it shows that you value yourself enough to protect your dignity. Remember, the Stoics emphasized the importance of knowing what's within your control. While you can't control how others behave, you can control your response. By standing up for yourself, you maintain your personal integrity and command the respect you deserve. In conclusion, standing up for yourself is a fundamental aspect of gaining respect and attracting the right kind of attention. It's about showing the world that you value yourself enough to protect your boundaries, and this confidence is magnetic to others. Women, in particular, are drawn to men who exude self-respect, composure, and strength. So stop letting things slide and start defending your boundaries with grace and confidence. Chapter 5. Stop seeking external validation. One of the most self-sabotaging habits that nice guys engage in is constantly seeking external validation. Whether it's looking for compliments, approval, or reassurance from others, this habit stems from insecurity and a lack of inner confidence. You may not even realize you're doing it, but when your sense of self-worth depends on what others think or say about you, you're giving away your power. Stoic philosophy teaches us that real confidence comes from within, not from external sources. If you're constantly seeking validation from others, especially women, you'll never truly feel secure in who you are. Women are highly attuned to men who are needy for validation. They can sense when a man is fishing for compliments or trying too hard to win their approval. This behavior is a major turn-off because it shows that you lack self-confidence and are too dependent on others to feel good about yourself. The irony is that the more you chase external validation, the less attractive you become because you're essentially signaling that your self-worth is fragile and reliant on others' opinions. Instead of seeking validation from women or anyone else, focus on building your inner confidence. The Stoics emphasized the importance of self-sufficiency, of finding contentment and strength within yourself rather than from external sources. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is in your power to maintain the beauty of your soul or to be a decent human being." This means you are in control of your self-worth and you don't need anyone else's approval to feel good about who you are. To break the habit of seeking external validation, start by becoming more aware of when and why you do it. The next time you find yourself fishing for a compliment or trying to impress someone for approval, pause and ask yourself why you need their validation. Is it because you're unsure of your own worth? Is it because you're trying to prove something? Once you understand the root of this behavior, you can begin to shift your focus inward. Building inner confidence doesn't happen overnight, but it's a gradual process of self-acceptance and personal growth. Start by setting small goals for yourself and achieving them without needing anyone else's approval. Take pride in your own accomplishments and recognize your own strengths. The more you practice relying on yourself for validation, the less you'll feel the need to seek it from others. Women are far more attracted to men who are self-assured and confident in who they are. When you stop seeking their validation, you'll notice a shift in how they perceive you. Instead of chasing their approval, you'll naturally draw them in because true confidence is magnetic. Remember, the Stoics believed that external circumstances, including other people's opinions, should never dictate your inner state. By focusing on building your own self-worth, you'll become the kind of man who commands respect and admiration without ever having to seek it. Chapter 6. Stop apologizing for your existence. One of the most common habits nice guys fall into is over-apologizing. Whether it's saying sorry for things beyond your control or apologizing for simply existing in someone's space, this tendency stems from low self-esteem and a desire to avoid conflict. You might think that apologizing often makes you appear humble, thoughtful, or considerate, but in reality, it can give off the impression that you are insecure or unsure of yourself. Women, and people in general, are more attracted to those who show confidence and assurance in their actions and presence, not those who apologize for merely taking up space. Stoic philosophy offers an important lesson here. While we must own our actions and be accountable when we've made mistakes, we should never diminish ourselves unnecessarily. There's a critical difference between a genuine apology and one made out of habit or fear of disapproval. If you find yourself apologizing just to smooth over interactions, especially when you haven't done anything wrong, you are projecting weakness and signaling that you don't value yourself enough to stand firm in your beliefs and actions. This habitual apologizing is often rooted in the fear of being seen as a burden or causing discomfort to others. But the truth is, when you apologize too much, especially for trivial things, you are sending the message that your opinions, needs, and even your presence are less important than those of others. This undermines your own confidence and encourages others to view you as someone who can be easily walked over. Women, in particular, are attracted to men who exude confidence, men who are comfortable in their own skin and unapologetic about their place in the world. A man who doesn't constantly seek approval or apologize for his existence displays a sense of self-assurance that is magnetic. This doesn't mean that you should never apologize, but it does mean that you should stop over-apologizing for things that don't deserve it, like voicing your opinion, making decisions, or taking up space. The Stoics would encourage you to focus on what is within your control, your actions, your words, and how you carry yourself. When you haven't done anything wrong, there is no need to apologize. Instead, you should stand firm in your decisions and be proud of the space you occupy. Confidence, after all, is about owning who you are without needing to constantly justify or explain yourself to others. A practical way to break the cycle of over-apologizing is by becoming aware of how often you say sorry in your daily interactions. Are you apologizing for things that weren't your fault? Are you saying sorry just to smooth over a situation or avoid confrontation? Once you start noticing this pattern, you can actively work on replacing unnecessary apologies with more assertive statements. For instance, instead of saying, "Sorry, can I add something?" you can say, "I'd like to add something." By making these small changes in how you communicate, you'll begin to assert yourself more confidently. Additionally, it's important to realize that over-apologizing can have long-term consequences on your personal and professional relationships. In a romantic context, constant apologies can make you seem insecure and dependent, which diminishes your attractiveness. Women are naturally drawn to men who are assertive, who communicate with confidence, and who don't feel the need to apologize for being themselves. If you want to be seen as a leader and someone worth pursuing, you have to stop seeking validation through endless apologies. The Stoics also teach us the importance of self-respect and maintaining our dignity in every interaction. Apologizing excessively undermines this. In the Stoic tradition, strength comes from within, from living in accordance with your values and principles. When you apologize for your existence, you are betraying this inner strength. Instead, you should cultivate the ability to stand firm in who you are, without feeling the need to make excuses or justify yourself to others. Moreover, over-apologizing can also damage your career. In professional settings, confidence is key. Constantly apologizing, even for things that aren't your fault, can make you seem unsure of yourself and less competent. It's essential to project confidence in your decisions and actions, and that starts with eliminating unnecessary apologies. A simple, assertive demeanor will command more respect from colleagues, supervisors, and clients. So how can you work on stopping the habit of over-apologizing? Start by paying close attention to your language. Take note of when and why you apologize. When you catch yourself saying sorry for no valid reason, pause and ask yourself if an apology is truly warranted. If not, replace the apology with a more direct, assertive statement. Over time, this practice will help you to communicate with more confidence and authority. Another critical point is understanding that confidence doesn't come from being perfect, but from being comfortable with who you are, even when things don't go as planned. You don't need to apologize for every misstep or awkward moment. Instead, focus on how you handle the situation afterward. The ability to stay calm and collected in the face of challenges is far more attractive than constantly apologizing for small errors or inconveniences. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have, and a big part of that confidence comes from not shrinking yourself or apologizing for existing. When you stand tall, both physically and mentally, you project a sense of inner strength that others can't help but be drawn to. Remember that apologizing should be reserved for situations where it's truly necessary, not as a way to smooth over discomfort or fear. In conclusion, it's time to stop apologizing for your existence. The next time you catch yourself saying sorry for no reason, stop and reconsider. Is there a better way to express yourself without diminishing your worth? By embracing your space and owning your presence, you'll naturally become more confident, assertive, and attractive, not only to women, but to everyone you interact with. The Stoics remind us that we are responsible for how we carry ourselves in the world, and that starts with standing firm in who we are unapologetically. Chapter 7. Stop avoiding conflict. Nice guys are notorious for avoiding conflict at all costs. You may think that by avoiding confrontation, you're being the bigger person or maintaining harmony, but in reality, this habit leads to resentment and unresolved issues. Women are not attracted to men who shy away from difficult conversations or challenging situations. They want a man who can handle conflict with maturity and composure. Avoiding conflict not only weakens your position in relationships, but also makes you appear indecisive and lacking in leadership. The Stoics believe that conflict is a natural part of life, and it's how we handle it that defines our character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, facing challenges head-on is the path to growth and strength. Avoiding conflict doesn't eliminate problems, it merely delays them and allows them to fester. Over time, this avoidance creates tension and frustration, which can ultimately damage your relationships. Women are attracted to men who are capable of handling difficult situations with confidence and grace. This doesn't mean you need to seek out conflict, but when it arises, you should be willing to address it openly and honestly. Avoiding confrontation only makes you seem weak and incapable of dealing with life's challenges. Stoicism teaches that we should approach conflict with a calm and rational mind, not with fear or avoidance. To break the habit of avoiding conflict, start by rethinking your attitude toward confrontation. Conflict is not inherently negative, it's an opportunity for growth and resolution. The next time a difficult situation arises, instead of shying away from it, lean into it with confidence. Express your thoughts and feelings clearly and listen to the other person's perspective. By approaching conflict with a calm and composed demeanor, you earn respect and admiration for your ability to handle tough situations. Women are more attracted to men who can face conflict head-on and resolve issues with maturity. By embracing healthy confrontation, you show that you're not afraid to stand up for yourself or address problems directly. This level of confidence and composure is incredibly attractive and will make women see you as a strong, capable partner. Remember, the Stoics taught that obstacles are opportunities for growth. By facing conflict with courage, you not only become a stronger person, but also a more desirable partner. If you've been stuck in the nice guy trap, now is the time to break free. Each of these habits, people-pleasing, being overly agreeable, saying yes to everything, failing to stand up for yourself, seeking external validation, over-apologizing, and avoiding conflict diminishes your confidence and attractiveness. By letting go of these self-sabotaging behaviors, you can become the strong, confident, and self-assured man that women are naturally drawn to. The Stoics taught us that true strength comes from within, from living in accordance with our values and not being swayed by external forces. By embracing Stoic principles and breaking these nice guy habits, you'll not only attract women, but also gain the respect of those around you. Remember, the key to attraction is confidence, and that confidence starts with knowing your worth and standing firm in who you are.